Good morning. We are live. It is time for Midweek Motivation Live with Patrick Lee. That would be me, your host. It is 10 o'clock and we are ready to go today. I hope everyone is doing well. I am doing well, getting over a little bit of sinus, little allergies. Been doing a lot of mowing, been outdoors a lot. And we got people tuning in. And this is Midweek Motivation Live, a motivational show. We're going to be talking to you today about the top 10 motivational speakers and their podcasts in America today, hoping that you can get some other content that can help you in your life and your motivational journey. When we come back right after this, people already tuning in from all over to watch the show. We're going to get into it when we come back right after this. I hope y'all are doing well today. I know that I am. I still have a little scratch in my throat. Y'all forgive me if I sound a little different. Have a couple of little coughs. I'm doing all the natural things, prayer and healing and oregano and all of my vitamins and supplements and all of that to get over a little bit of this cough. Little change in my voice. Maybe it makes my voice a little lower. What do y'all think? Tell me. But people watching the show today, Midweek Motivation Live, now on all major podcast platforms, wherever you go to consume motivational and inspirational content podcasts, you can find Midweek Motivation Live. It's a hot week in Amarillo today. I'm coming to you. You can see I have most of the blinds behind me closed. The air conditioning in the building works. I am on the 18th floor of Studio One, the downtown tower, First Bank Southwest Tower, facing south and west on this office. But if we keep the blinds a little closed, it doesn't get so hot. It's been over 100 all week. Going to be over 100 again today. And it's so dry here in Amarillo. With the heat index, it's still just 100. So some people that I watch it's kind of funny. They're in South Texas or other places where it's very humid. And they're saying, well, it may be only 90 degrees out today, but with the heat index, it feels like 112. And I checked it here in our Amarillo region. And with the heat index, as dry as it is with no humidity, it's whatever the temperature is, that's what it is. And it's just hot. Once it's over 90 degrees, it's just hot. So we've got the blinds pulled a little behind us. It's a little darker in here. More romantic, you might say. I don't know. But anyway, we are going to be talking to you today about the 10 top motivational speakers in America today. The title of today's show, Inspiration Nation. We're going to dive deep into the world of motivation and personal growth. Today, I'm counting down the top 10 motivational speakers in America who are changing lives and inspiring millions, just like Patrick Lee at Midweek Motivation Live. So let's get started. People already tuning in. Love that. Go into the comments. Awesome. Thank you, guys. That's great. The number one motivational speaker in America today, kicking off our list, is Tony Robbins. Many of you have listened to Tony Robbins in the past. I was a huge fan of Tony Robbins. I have still watched some of his events. I went to a live virtual event recently of Tony Robbins, and I've been invited to numerous. And our company, eXp Realty, has had Tony Robbins at some of our events in Dallas and a couple of other places. And Brent Gove has invited him, and he has come and done events for our company. He's a name synonymous with motivation. Born in 1960, Tony's journey began in a modest household, overcoming challenges to become a powerhouse in the self-help industry. He started partnering up way back in the day, doing speeches and speaking with people like Fran Tarkenton, the football player, famous sports athletes. He went and became the motivational speaker to numerous professional sporting teams, and his name literally was synonymous with motivational speaker. He was overweight as a young man, and then he used these motivational tactics and ideas that he came up with to help him overcome that, and started a whole new chain of, this chain reaction of life-changing events that millions of people, literally millions of people, have come to his events all around the world and had their life changed. With over 4 decades of experience, Tony Robbins has transformed the lives of countless millions through his seminars, books, and coaching. I have his content, some in my house, some here in the office. I was cleaning some things in my garage and I came across another personal power cassette series of his that I have on a shelf of books and things that I have in the garage. And I'm like, man, I need to break out the old cassette deck. If those of you can remember what cassettes are, and bust out some Tony Robbins and listen to it again. Good, Ross. Good morning, bro Jackson. My brother. Baskin Robbins is a bigger motivation. Well, ice cream is a huge motivation for some people. Ross says, I suspect Jim Rohn will be on your list. Jim Rohn is surprisingly not on the list today, although he is one of my favorite speakers. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not my personal list. This is a compiled list across multiple different genres of motivational speakers. So there are other people who are going to be in this category, but this is simply a ranking across multiple genres of motivational speakers. Some people are more keynote speakers. Some people speak to Fortune 500 companies, and some have been around for a long time. You will recognize most of the names on the list. This particular list, I don't believe Jim Rohn ended up on today, Ross, but he is one of my favorites as well. There are a couple of guys that have been on here forever, and although they've been around forever, they just may not always be added into the top list. Top 10 in America today. So there you go. That's my codicil to the rest of this. With Tony Robbins' best-selling books like Awakening the Giant Within, which offers actionable insights into personal development, finance, and relationships, Tony's ability to connect with audiences on a deep emotional level, coupled with his dynamic presence, makes him a leading figure in motivational speaking. Tony comes to Dallas a couple of times a year and does events down there. If you are into Tony Robbins, I believe that he can help you. There are many things in his, and these are some of my personal other comments in his events that I love and they motivate me. And some of them I just don't get. Now, when I go to the doctor tells me numerous things that I should do. And many of them resonate with me in my spirit, in my mind, and I know that I should do them. And some of them also I take with a grain of salt, and I don't always do everything the doctor recommends because I believe that they are practicing medicine and some things are better for my own life. Motivational speakers are the same way. There are going to be people that resonate with you and some that do not. So this list is going to be here today to help you compile a list of people that you may want to listen to, add to your repertoire of podcasts if you have not already, and see if there is something that you can glean from or get from their information that helps motivate you. And if not, simply move on to the next, which is what I recommend with me all the time. I hope the show continues to help you, lead you and guide you into some areas of success and motivation in every area of your life as well. Number 2 on the list is Brené Brown, a researcher and storyteller whose work on vulnerability and courage has resonated with millions. I've listened to Brené Brown. Enjoy listening to Brené Brown. Brené Brown has a PhD in social work, has spent over 2 decades studying the human connection. And I listened to this TED Talk that she put out a few years ago called The Power of Vulnerability. It's one of the most watched ever TED Talks, sparking a global conversation about being your authentic self. Brown's best-selling books, including Daring Greatly and Braving the Wilderness, challenge societal norms and encourage individuals to embrace their imperfections. Through her engaging storytelling and relatable approach, Brené inspires audiences to live wholeheartedly and cultivate genuine connections. And I believe that that's important in every area of life. Connection is top. And the next one on the list, is another one of my favorites. I quote him frequently, is Les Brown. Mamie's boy, Les Brown, a celebrated motivational speaker, renowned for his powerful messages of resilience. You are enough. You are the one. I am the one of his famous quotes. If shoot for the stars or shoot for the moon, and if you don't make it, at least you'll end up among the stars. One of his favorite sayings, and I've quoted that on here multiple times. Les Brown was born into poverty, was given up, placed on the front porch of somebody as a baby, given away. He was born labeled educably mentally retarded in school and told his teachers that he couldn't learn. He was labeled as retarded, and he had a teacher become very violently angry with him over that and told him to never say that about himself again, and taught him to change that script, change that mindset and the self-talk that he did, that he had about himself, and it allowed him to actually change his life and then go on to become one of the greatest motivational speakers in America. Les defied the odds to become a successful radio host and author. His signature phrase, of course, is "you got to be hungry." And that phrase sort of encapsulates or wraps itself around his philosophy, the relentless pursuit of your dreams. With a relentless career, with a career spanning over 3 decades, Les has inspired audiences through his speeches, books like Live Your Dreams, and his appearances on platforms like PBS. He's made multiple appearances on there. His infectious energy and personal stories of triumph motivate listeners to push past their limits and strive for greatness. Les ended up getting into drama and speech class in high school so he could learn how to speak better. And he ended up not being confident enough to play a part in a school production. So he ended up being the narrator or the MC. And when it came time for them to do one of the stories he likes to tell, when it became time for him to do the speech to open up this presentation, as he had practiced over and over, he was too afraid to do it, and he couldn't go out on stage. And his teacher encouraged him to go back and get a hold of himself and go out. And when he did, he found this new confidence for him to go out and become the speaker that he always wanted to be. And he used that same hunger later on in his life. He took a job at a radio station because he wanted to be a DJ, and the guy wouldn't hire him and pretty much kept pushing him off. And he would show up down there every other week. He'd go down and say, "Hey, have you got a job for me?" And he went down multiple days in a row this one week, and the guy said, "I don't have any jobs for you." And he went in another day, and the guy said, "Weren't you just here yesterday?" And he said, "Yeah." He goes, "Didn't I tell you yesterday I didn't have a job for you?" He goes, "Yeah." He said, "Then why are you here?" He goes, "Well, I didn't know if somebody may have died or somebody may have quit, so I'm back again today." And the guy allowed him to start making coffee and bring coffee and clean up around the offices and bring that coffee to the other DJs and the managers of that radio station while he practiced his trade in private. One day, the DJ was too drunk to be on the air, and he showed up and was not doing well, and he had to call the manager of the station, and the manager took him off the air and gave Les his first shot at being a DJ, and he slid right into the seat and became a very popular DJ in his market. And that was the beginning of his story, one of the great stories I love to tell about Les Brown, from being labeled mentally educably retarded to becoming one of the greatest motivational speakers in America today. I love that. Great underdog story, right? We always love those. Another one is a lady that I've listened to multiple times, and she has been a guest on many of these other podcasts and shows, and that is Mel Robbins, author of The 5-Second Rule. Mel Robbins has this countdown method from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And at 1, you change the behavior, you change the thought that you were thinking, you stop the activity that you were doing that you're trying to stop. And it's become sort of a life motto to a lot of people. If you ever see somebody doing that, when you say something to them or they get triggered, they will do this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown method. They learned that from Mel Robbins. She's a dynamic speaker and is known for giving her practical advice all around America and other places. She has an incredible, relatable approach, the way that she puts it across. Very, very well-spoken lady. After facing personal and professional crisis in her own life, Mel discovered this power of taking action in just 5 seconds. This simple concept has transformed the lives of countless individuals in America and around the world, helping them overcome procrastination and self-doubt. I have used this practice myself. When I heard of Mel Robbins, it was on she was on a guest on Ed Milet's podcast a couple of years ago. And there are multiple times I have used this method to help me in certain instances in my own life. And it's a simple practice to help me wrap my head around what is the thought I'm trying to get captive. The Bible tells us, right, to take every thought captive. And I believe that this is something that has helped me. And I can be thinking a thought, and I will simply do this 5-second rule countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I automatically will take take that thought captive and then start thinking in another direction. I will literally change directions and start thinking another thought, going after another thought process. So that has actually helped me. And it's some instances in your life, it may work and it may not for you. It just depends on your mindset, right? How your inner makeup is. But this concept has helped many people. Mel's TED Talk has also garnered millions of views, and her engaging lifestyle makes her a very sought after speaker. She travels and speaks all around the world. Through her books and her podcast, she empowers people to take charge of their lives, offering strategies to break bad habits and foster confidence in their life. Mel Robbins, look her up. Also, the next is on the list. He's number 5, and he's not my favorite, but he's on the list, and he's a good one. Many people listen to Gary V, and that is Gary Vaynerchuk. I have read his material. I have purchased his books, and I just have to say that while I get a lot out of his books, I don't get as much from him when I am listening to him live. He is very loud, a very fast speaker. He's a digital marketing guru, motivational speaker whose energy is contagious to some. It actually goes a little too fast for me in some areas. And his manner of speaking, he uses a lot of profanity. And I'm just not a big fan of profanity. It doesn't motivate me. It turns me off. But the use of profanity in motivational speaking is fairly commonplace, and a lot of people use it to get your attention. And I do need a cough drop. Thank you. I've got some. Thank you, brother Cody. I may get one from you later. I've got some. I just need to take another one. I've just got a little bit of this congestion in my lungs, and it's all good. I will be over it soon. I appreciate it. But yeah, Gary likes to drop the F-bomb, just so you guys know. And while you're going to check out these people, right? You tuned into Midweek Motivation Live to hear my take on it, and hopefully to get something from this. And Gary likes to drop the F-bomb a lot. And many people say that they do that for the reason of getting the attention. That word triggers activity in many people's lives, either good or bad. And in their opinion, they say it's not really good or bad because it gets the effect that they want it to have. They are living their own best life. They're being their true and authentic self. And he just happens to use a lot of profanity, and that kind of turns me off. Gary was born in Belarus and raised in New Jersey. He transformed his family's wine business into a multi-million-dollar venture. As you probably know that, Cody, my wine sommelier. So Gary's no-nonsense approach emphasizes hard work, authenticity, and patience. His books, including Crush It and Jab, 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 Hook. I own that one. I may have given it away to someone else. I may still have that one. Read that one about 5 years ago. These books provide insights into building a personal brand with a massive online following. Gary's motivational talks encourage individuals to pursue their passions and embrace hustle. We've had entire shows based on hustle, right? Hustle culture. Is that something you need to embrace? Hustle culture. Maybe you do. Maybe you need a little more pep in your step. Tell Martin I said hello to my good friend Martin watching the show. I love that today. That's awesome. Then, of course, next on the list is probably my favorite. I have told you this many times. I reference him a lot on the show, and that is Ed Milet. Ed Milet is the leading figure in the world of personal development and entrepreneurship, known for his compelling insights on maximizing human potential. On many lists, Ed Milet's podcast, The Power of One More, the book that he just wrote out, make him number one. On a couple of platforms, he is ranked number one. In this particular list, he is included in the group as number 6 of all time in America right now of top podcasts. So his massive following for his podcast, The Ed Milet Show, is crazy. He recently brought that over to, I think he's on Spotify now, or Sirius XM. He was on Sony. I think maybe on Spotify is where he's being hosted, but you can find him everywhere and on multiple other platforms where you can consume your your content. The Power of One More is the book that he came out with a little over a year ago. I've bought over a dozen copies of that book and given them out to friends and family as well to help motivate them. We've given them away as gifts here on the show. I am going to be giving a gift away today. Another copy of my friend Bob Goshen's, my new friend Bob Goshen's new book, It's Time. And we'll be talking about that at the end of the show today. One lucky listener is going to be liking, loving, and sharing the show, and post a comment. Go give me a review on one of the podcast platforms. Review the show, and we're going to be giving away a copy of his new book, Bob Goshen, It's Time. He started a new podcast as well. We have referenced that, and we've had Bob Goshen on the show as well. Ed Milet's unique approach combines practical strategies with motivational storytelling, drawing from his own experiences as a successful entrepreneur. His emphasis on the importance of your mindset, discipline, and relentless pursuit of goals has inspired countless individuals to take action. With a vast array of guests from various fields, like many of the people on the show on this top 10 list today, nearly every one of them have been a guest on the Ed Milet Show, and he has been a guest on probably every one of theirs as well. You know how it goes. Eagles fly alone, but on podcasts, they flock together like turkeys. And it's just true. You know, the top people, you have to mastermind with people who are at the same level or higher than yourself, right? So when you are that leader, you may be the person that's out there flying alone. You're not hanging out with the turkeys. But if you are a thought leader, a motivational speaker, you constantly need to be surrounded by people that continue to grow you as well. If you stop growing, there's no such thing as standing still. You simply go back. If a muscle stops being exercised, it will atrophy and start to reduce. So they all become guests on each other's podcasts as well. With the vast array of guests from various fields, Ed brings diverse perspectives that resonate with audiences, making him one of the top motivational speakers today. I would say get a copy of his book, The Power of One More. It will change your life. And it simply talks about the power of one more rep, one more phone call, one more apology, one more act of gratitude, one more prayer to the throne room of God to get the results you need in your life. And gives many, many, many instances and stories in that book, The Power of One More by Ed Milet. I recommend that one highly. Number 7 on the list is another one of my favorites, and I've referenced him a lot lately. That is Brendon Burchard. Brendon Burchard is a pioneer in the field of high-performance coaching and personal development. Ed Milet and Brendon Burchard are actually partnering up on a lot of things right now. They're doing a lot of podcasts together, a lot of interviews, traveling and speaking at the same events. Brendon wrote his book, The Motivational Manifesto, which became a bestseller, million seller right away. And in that book, he captures the essence of what drives successful people. Brendon's engaging speaking style and practical techniques have made him a sought-after speaker at conferences and events worldwide. I listened to Brendon last year at EXPCon, our national event in Las Vegas, and he was the keynote speaker, incredible speaker. I recommend him highly. His storytelling, his rags to riches story as well, as his health story, his life journey stories are very insightful and can help you believe that you can do it too. And that's really it. If the simple man can do it, so can you. We are all simple men and simple women when we start. But if someone else can pick themselves up by the bootstraps, develop a lifestyle, a career, write a book, start a podcast, do whatever they can to start helping others, you will realize that you can do it too. Me too, right? Les Brown at the beginning of the show, number 3, Les Brown does a complete speech and a video. You can watch it. It's called "I'm the One," and it talks about being that breakout person in your family, that breakout person in your small hometown, maybe, that goes on to achieve great things in life, either in that town or if you move away. And I believe that I'm one of those people in my life. I'm the one. I'm going to be the one that breaks out and lives life according to my own rules, with faith and confidence that I can be all that God's created me to be. And Brendon Burchard is one of those guys. As the founder of the High Performance Institute, he offers valuable insights into achieving peak performance in life and your business. He also has online courses and webinars that further empower individuals to gain clarity, increase their productivity, and cultivate lasting habits for success. Brendon Burchard, number 7 on the list. Number 8 is Robin Sharma. Robin Sharma, best known for his book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. I haven't bought the book. I have watched his videos, and I like Robin Sharma. He's not one of my favorites. He's on the list and is a very good person in his line, in his lane. Is not one of my favorites, but that doesn't matter. This is here to help you, not just me. Many of the people, like I said, are on my list. Robin Sharma is a viable and legitimate leading podcast and deserves to be on the list. He is a leadership expert and motivational speaker and has worked with Fortune 500 companies and global organizations. His teachings focus on personal mastery, leadership, and the pursuit of excellence. Through his engaging seminars and books, he inspires individuals to live with purpose and cultivate strong leadership skills, which we all need, right, in our life. Robin's unique blend of spirituality and practicality resonates with audiences worldwide, encouraging them to embrace their true potential. Robin Sharma, number 8. Number 9 is another one that I have referenced on here before, and is very, very deep, great thinker. And I'd recommend that you go and listen to his TED Talk if you haven't. And it's called Start With Why, the TED Talk on YouTube. And that is Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek, the visionary thinker and author, known for that concept, Start With Why. His TED Talks, which explores the importance of purpose in leadership, has captivated millions. Simon's work emphasizes the significance of understanding your why to inspire others and foster loyalty. His books, including Leaders Eat Last and The Infinite Game, provide insights into effective leadership and organizational culture. Simon's engaging style and thought-provoking ideas make him a sought-after speaker, motivating leaders to create environments where people thrive. If you learn that concept of Start With Why, you will understand that has been the number one question people try to get you to answer in any new business, whether it's a multi-level startup, if it's real estate, if it's insurance, if it's a restaurant, if it's finance, whatever it is, whatever that is, you have to start with why. And I ask people this all the time. I am approached at least weekly, if not multiple times a week, by people who either themselves or a friend or a family member, a child, want to get started in business. They want to pursue their dreams. They want to do these things just like I have. And they come to me and they say, well, so-and-so wants to do this. And the first thing I tell them to do is define why, because your big why is what's going to carry you through the hard times. When you get punched in the gut in business, you're going to ask yourself, why am I doing this? When something happens in your life, in your health, you're going to ask yourself, why? And is that big why going to be big enough to carry you through these hard times in your life? If you have goals and dreams big enough to matter, to make a difference in the world, then that big why is what's really going to be the motivator behind you picking yourself up the 100th time after you get knocked down, right? If you get up one time more than you get knocked down, you can win in life. And I believe that. And Simon Sinek has actually encapsulated that into that main idea. Start with why. And if you can define why, then the rest can fall into place. You can put a plan of action in that is going to help carry you towards that goal. Then number 10, I've listened to and seen in person as well, and enjoy listening to this guy. He's a performer, college football player whose life took a dramatic turn due to a career-ending injury, and that is Inky Johnson. And there are numerous professional athletes, college athletes who have had an injury and it's ended their career, who have slunk away into anonymity. And many of you could name who some of those people are. But especially if you follow sports, Cody, Martin, some of you guys that watch the show that follow sports can name numerous, dozens, if not more, people who have done very well. They've received an injury and then they go away and you never hear from them again. But Inky Johnson is one of those guys that broke that mold of injured athletes, and he went on to take that injury and turn it into his reason to go out there and start motivating other people. A very, very great story, that of Inky Johnson, and really enjoy him. Listened to him in Vegas about a year ago, also in a breakout session. Inky's story of perseverance and faith has inspired so many people around the world. His speech focuses on resilience, purpose, and the power of a positive mindset. With a background in sports and the deep understanding of overcoming challenges that come along with no longer being in the limelight, having that career in professional sports, Inky's messages resonate with audiences seeking motivation in the face of adversity. His authenticity and heartfelt delivery make him a sought-after speaker and mentor in today's market. So there you have it. Cody says no zig. Christian says Inky is legit. Yes, sir. He sure is. He's a good guy. I've met him. He's a very, very engaging, very down-to-earth guy, super great speaker, and has a heart to help people. Cody says no zig. Zig Ziglar, of course, one of the all-time greats. If I did a top 10 list, and I probably will, of the all-time greats, Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar are going to be on there. There are numerous people, Brian Tracy. There are a lot of guys that are going to be on that list of motivational speakers, greatest of all time, greatest motivational speakers in their 70s or older. And Zig was one of those guys. I still listen to Zig. Today's list was simply a combined list of the top 10 motivational speakers in America today, the most sought after for keynote speeches and for motivational speaking events. And these guys round out the top 10 list across a couple of genres in speakers, because there's self-help, and many of you know this, some of you don't, but there are multiple genres in motivational speaking, just like there are multiple genres in music and a lot of different things. So when you're looking at the personal development space, you have faith leaders, and this, you'll notice there's not a faith leader on here today. And faith leaders are people in my life. Now, there are some faith leaders that I would classify as a motivational speaker. I'm not going to name names, but some of you probably could. And I think that they are actually more of a motivational speaker than they are a faith leader, because they simply don't talk about faith, sin, salvation, ways to God, how to get to Jesus, to God through Jesus, in their churches anymore. And they have these huge platforms, but I would actually classify them as a motivational speaker. But in a motivational speaker lane, they would not fit, right? Do you have opinions on guys like Andy Frisella and Bedros Keuilian? Absolutely. I was actually listening to Andy this morning on his latest podcast, and his podcast, I tune in. Andy Frisella is a very motivational guy, uses profanity a lot, and that turns me off. Andy is actually partners with Ed Milet in the Arete syndicate, and I've been invited to join their syndicate for years, and I have still not joined. Some of my friends have. And the Arete syndicate, they travel and speak primarily just to men, and they become leaders in business and life as well. And Andy Frizella is so genuine and a little rough around the edges for me, but some of his perspectives I think are a little out there. But he is partners with Ed Milet, and his podcast is a top podcast. Bedros is another one. I've actually referenced him. I've watched multiple videos of his. His is another rags to riches story as an immigrant, and his family were immigrants. Amazing guy. I like Bedros a little more than I like Andy, but I like them both. You know what I mean? There are a lot of good guys out there, but in the personal development space, you have people that are more into mental health, and their podcasts are very motivational, great information, and they focus primarily, they try to stay in that lane. Then you have other motivational speakers that are all the rah people, and they love to hoot and holler and do the hoo-ahs, and it's all the tough yelling, and it's just motivation for the sake of motivation. That's another lane. Then you have other guys that are they're great thinkers. They're thought leaders, and they provoke you to deeper thoughts and growth in that direction. So today's list of top 10 is a mixture of all across most genres, the people that are the most sought after right now to be speakers, keynotes, and motivational speakers. Combined list, top 10 today. Yeah, I have opinions, Christian, on a lot of guys, and there are a lot of them that I think are great. There are a lot of them that are not on the list that I think are the greatest. Some of them that are the greatest of all time. Absolutely. Another one that I don't reference on here very much was one of the top leaders in the Amway Corporation. Amway was the first major MLM in America, and his name's Dexter Yeager. And any one of you that have been in any MLM or are a leader in any kind of an online business, a marketing company, can reference back to Dexter Yeager in the 80s and 90s and Dexter's Diamonds. He created more millionaires than most people in the world through the Amway Corporation. I am not affiliated with that company anymore. I was years ago. But anyone who's a leader in any kind of a multi-level marketing would tell you that Dexter Yeager has put out more books, tapes, cassettes, and information on motivating people than many people in the world. And is ranked right up there with Zig Ziglar, and was actually a friend with Zig Ziglar. But there are a lot of people that were not. And, Bob, that we've talked about here on the show, Bob Goshen, has been a guest on the show, was a contemporary of Zig's. And I'd recommend you go to It's Time with Bob Goshen. You can go to his podcast, find it on YouTube as well. And as the late Mr. Zig Ziglar shared, Bob is more than a motivational speaker. He's a motivation teacher, breaking complex theories into workable skills. Multiple corporations, including the U.S. Army, call Bob the Culture King, the King of Culture. This book will be sent out to one of you today, one of today's viewers. Like, love, share the show. Drop me a comment on Facebook for sure. And if you have the ability, go to where you go to podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, iTunes. Leave me a referral. Drop me a referral on the show. Leave me a great, 5-star review, and I would appreciate that. One of you is going to get that copy of that book sent to you in the mail. I will contact you soon. By the end of the week, once we figured out who has done that and who wins the book, I will reach out to you through social media if I don't have your number, and we'll get a copy of that to you shortly. Many people have won things on the Midweek Motivation Show with Patrick Lee, and I'd love to get a copy of that book out to one of you today. I hope you guys have liked the show today. Maybe you have heard of someone that you didn't previously listen to, and you can go consume some of their content and see if it is something that helps motivate you. At the end of every show, we like to tell you courage begins at the end of your comfort zone. I recommend you become a little courageous. Go out there maybe and listen to someone that you're not necessarily sure about, and see if there's something in their life that can help motivate you. Like Christian was saying, guys like Andy Frizella, love Andy. His manner of speaking is just a little out there for me. It's a little rougher than I like to listen to, but I do understand that that's just how a lot of people speak. And sometimes I have to take a little bit of the bad with the good to get the message. But I have also, for my own personal um, thinking, I have found that I have a myriad, a literal plethora of speakers that I can go to for content that help lead, guide, and motivate me. And I can do it without having to put so much profanity into my ears. So there's my take on that. I just prefer not to hear it if at all possible. And I know that the more you put in, if everything that goes into my ear, the gates into my spirit, my eyes, my ears, my own speech becomes a product of what goes in, right? Garbage in, garbage out. So as you put yourself in the environment or consume content that has that in it, then it causes me to become more aligned to saying the kind of things that they would say. And I try to curb my speech a little better than that and not speak as roughly, if some of you get my drift. I'm trying to be a good Christian man here and doing my best, and I just don't think profanity is a part of it. So there you go. That's the midweek motivation. Patrick's last little bit on that. Be courageous. Get out there and help a friend or a neighbor today. Share some content, consume some content, and like, love, and share the show. I will be back next week. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.